then I'm doing fine. Make peace with your ghost when I'm alone. Darling, no, I can't help. I heard that you found someone new. Darling, I wish you well. I'm happy for you, but the truth is I'm only human too. And I can't stop picturing you lost in his eyes, somewhere tonight, like when you were mine. Lost in his eyes, somewhere tonight, like when you were mine.
Hey, so this is a music video that I made for an artist who wanted to see how he can use AI to promote his new song, and he reached out and wanted me to help him do that because he's tried it himself and couldn't really figure out a good way to do it. First, I'll go over my thought process on how I came up with the ideas for the scenes in the video, going over how each scene serves the story that I wanted to tell. Because when you're making a music video, the concept and story is just as important as the technical execution of how you create the scenes. And then I'll break down exactly how I made those scenes. Now, for this music video, I didn't use AI to help with the ideation, but what I typically do like to do is use ChatGPT or Claude to basically just paste in the lyrics of the song and say that I want help coming up with concepts for a music video. And it can generate some pretty cool ideas that you wouldn't have thought of yourself that really match the emotion and lyrics of that song. The song is about him getting over his ex, and he tells himself that he's doing okay, but he's still in a lot of pain. So I wanted the concept of the video to be him performing on the stage in front of his fans, and he just starts crashing out, trying to hold himself together. The contrast is that he's successful and surrounded by people who adore him, but he still feels empty and broken inside. These red performance scenes are actually real-life footage that he sent me, so these are not AI. And I initially wanted the whole video to be 100% AI, but then I figured that by layering in real footage, since I had the liberty of using it, it would add to the perceived realism of the overall video. If there's good non-AI footage that you can use, it's okay to use it. Because at the end of the day, what matters is how the final product makes the viewer feel, not your ability to perform under restrictions that you set for yourself. I wanted the first scene to be him backstage, looking at himself in the mirror like he's trying to compose himself before he goes on stage. The cracked mirror is a detail that I added that serves a few different functions. One, it's a metaphor for him being broken and scattered, and two, it's a setup for the moment before the chorus where he punches the mirror. Then we see him performing on stage, and he looks into the crowd and then he starts crashing out. So now it's been established visually and through the lyrics that he's troubled by the thought of his ex, so now the video goes back and forth between him trying to hold it together on stage and memories of him and his ex. This scene of them arguing shows their relationship crumbling, which is also the moment we see him back on his feet on stage, like he's successfully coping with his pain. But then as the song comes to the climax, he's thrown back into this dreamlike moment where he's falling through the sky. I added his guitar as part of this sequence because I wanted to show that music is like his coping mechanism and he's desperately reaching for it to hold on to something. The bloody knuckles is a detail that ties back to him punching the mirror, and it's these little details that really add that level of polish on a video that makes it feel very thought out. Then the final sequence is a scene of him and his ex when things were good, then a match cut into him falling onto the pavement alone with his guitar. So for this first scene, I started with this character reference image, which obviously isn't ideal, but I didn't actually have a good image of his face to use. So I just took the screenshot from the footage that he sent me and tried using that, but it didn't turn out too bad, so I kind of just rolled with it. And the way I'm getting all of these prompts is I'm just talking to prompt director and explaining exactly what I want. So I said that I want this man to be backstage of a show looking at himself in a broken mirror, and he looks sad and introspective. So this is the prompt that I got, and this is the image that it generated using this reference image. And then I turned that image into video using 𝗙𝗏 3.0, and the prompt that I used was, the man looks sad with subtle micro facial expressions. But after looking at this video, it gave me the idea that I want him to actually start looking down and then look up into his reflection in the mirror. So what I did is I just took this video clip and then I reversed it in the edit, so it looks like he starts looking down and then looks up. This is a very common thing that happens when you're making an AI video, is you'll generate something and you'll see the video and it'll actually inform where you want to take the video next based on what it generated. Now with him looking up into the mirror, I wanted a scene that is closer up onto his face where it shows a more detailed shot of him looking in the mirror. So to do that, I just took the original image and then generated another image by prompting close-up shot of the man's reflection in the mirror. And then I turned it into video again using 𝗙𝗏 3.0, and it looked like he was about to kiss himself in the mirror or something, so I just trimmed that beginning part out and then used the later part of the clip when it looks like he's pulling back and looking determined.
But I want you to know then I'm doing fine. Make peace with your ghost.
So now we see him on stage. So to make that video, first I generated an image of him performing on stage by using this original image that I had. I wanted to keep this same composition from the original, but just change the background and obviously the resolution. So the prompt is using the exact same composition, framing, pose, facial expression, and camera angle as the reference image, change only the lighting and background to depict a live stage performance. And then the rest of the prompt just goes on to describe the details of the stage. But now obviously the problem is that because our original image had the text "I want you to know" in it, it placed that into our next image. So then I simply removed it by prompting remove the text that says "I want you to know." But then I wanted the stage to look a little more like a smaller, intimate venue. So I used this prompt, which is basically the same prompt as before, just with different details of the stage, with warm lighting and no LEDs. And then I used Kling motion control with the performance footage I had from the artist and the image that I generated.
Then I'm doing fine. Make peace with your ghost when I'm alone.
Now we see him looking out into the crowd. For that image, I took the image that we generated before and then prompted low angle medium shot of the man looking out into the crowd in front of him. He looks like he is in disbelief. Subtle facial expression, not exaggerated. I often like to add that last line because sometimes the video models can tend to over-exaggerate the facial expressions. Then the video prompt was camera pulls back slowly. The man continues looking forward. Then we have this scene that takes us into the chorus. Using this backstage image that I generated before, I prompted, the man punches the mirror in slow motion, shattering it. He is angry and sad.
Your ghost when I'm alone. Darling, no, I can't help. I heard that you found someone new.
Okay, so from here, the video basically just goes back and forth between the original performance video, flashback scenes of him and his ex, and scenes of him struggling on stage. Using the stage image from before as a reference, I generated an image of them playing the guitar and looking happy, and then I used that image as a reference to generate another shot of them running up the hill. And then for the conflict scene, I took the hill image and then put them inside a trailer where they're arguing, and then turned each of them into a video with a simple prompt. And then for these scenes, generated two images, one of him on the ground and one of him struggling to get up on the microphone stand. Then again, turned them into videos with simple prompts. Now with all these individual clips generated, it's just a matter of placing them in the right spots, playing around with the pacing, the timing of everything, and making sure it just flows nicely.
Darling, no, I can't help. I heard that you found someone new. Darling, I wish you well. I'm happy for you, but the truth is I'm only human too.
Okay, so even though it looks like it's going from the stage to the sky, I actually generated the sky scene first and then worked backwards to get the stage scene to match the sky scene. Using the stage image as reference and using this prompt, I generated this image of him falling in the sky with his guitar. Then I turned it into a slow motion video by prompting the man and guitar are falling slowly in the sky. And looking at the video that I got, I saw this frame where one foot is below the other, which was exactly the pose that I want of him falling on stage. So I took a screenshot of this frame to use as my pose reference. Using this frame as a pose reference, together with this image as the character and environment reference, I prompted, change the camera distance to match the second image, pushed back and showing more of the stage. The man is falling over in the same pose as the second image. Now that I had him in the pose that I wanted on stage with the right camera angle, I had a good base to make adjustments. I prompted, the man's foot is on the ground as he is falling over and the guitar is strapped around his neck. But he didn't look naturally blended into the scene and his shadow was off, like someone did a bad job of photoshopping him into the scene. So I gave this image to prompt director and said I wanted him to look naturally blended into the scene with accurate lighting and shadows. This is the prompt that I got and it polished the image right up. To create this video of him falling over, first I took this image of him falling to generate an image of him standing upright by prompting, the man is standing facing right, playing his guitar. Now that I had both images of him standing and of him falling over, I used the first frame to end frame technique with Kling 3.0 to animate the fall. First frame to end frame is good when you have a very specific point A and point B in mind, like I did for this scene. By feeding the video model the exact image that you want the video to start with and the image that you want it to end on, all you're doing with the prompt is directing the motion that happens in between those two frames.
Happy for you, but the truth is I'm only human too. And I can't stop picturing you lost inside.
I took the sky image and turned it into an isolated shot of just the guitar, and then took that image for a more extreme macro shot of the guitar. And then for the video, what I did is I prompted for the guitar to float away from the camera so that in the edit, I can reverse the video so that it looks like the guitar is floating towards the camera and the details of the guitar gets revealed. This is a nice trick for these revealing shots, because if I started with the guitar far away and then generated a video of it floating closer to the camera, the video model would be generating the details of the guitar as it comes close to the camera, and it wouldn't be as sharp and controlled as feeding an image with the details already locked in and then reversing the clip. And then I took that same sky image to get a close-up shot of the man's hand, and then took that image to add the bloody knuckles after. I often like to split up these tasks in separate generations because overloading the prompt can lead to undesired results. And it can often take you more generations to get the result you want, as opposed to just splitting it up into separate steps. And then for this final sequence, I started with the image of them on the field, and then I found this image online by googling overhead shot of couple laying on a grassy field. This is a useful trick if you're not sure how to prompt for a specific camera angle or a composition. Just find an image that has those elements that you're already looking for and then use it as a reference. Using those two images as references, I was able to get this image, placing my characters into that scene. And then I used these two reference images to generate this shot of him laying alone on the pavement with his guitar. The reason I added this second image of him on stage is because in the first image of him laying on the field, the details of his identity aren't very clear because the camera is so far back. So I'm essentially using the first image as a composition reference and the second image as an identity reference. And then with the prompt, I'm combining those two elements with the added change that the background is a concrete pavement instead of grass, and that he's holding the guitar in his hand. And then to create a seamless match cut transition from the two scenes, I adjusted the scaling of the clip so that the last frame of the first video perfectly matches the first frame of the next video clip. So yeah, that's the full process of how I made this video, and here's the final product one more time.
Darling, no,